Week 1, May 2001, Monday Nitro. Let's rewrite some history. So we kick things off on the pre-show with Cruiserweight Tag Team action as Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo defeat Air Raid of AJ Styles and Air Paris when Elix Skipper pins Air Paris with the Overdrive. Obviously, as this is a rewrite of history, there's two people in this match which we know have a very big future ahead of them. One a lot bigger than the other. So I think working with those two could be the future of this Cruiserweight division. 37 rating though, which isn't bad for Cruiserweights on the pre-show. And all of them were in that 37-36 range. But Elix Skipper was off his game, so you know what? He's probably looking in the 40s for his performance. And we open the main show with the Magnificent Seven. Ric Flair, the Steiner Brothers, Jeff Jarrett, Road Warrior Animal, Buff Bagwell, Lex Luger, and Medeja. And they're talking about how this new era of WCW, we are back from the dead. WCW lives. And the Magnificent Seven will run this era just like they ran the end of the old era. The Magnificent Seven is one of those few continuity things which you've kind of got to keep from old, last dying days WCW. They were pretty decent, but I feel like they're also symbolic of those last few days of WCW, so they're not going to be around for long in this save. By the time we get to Starrcade, which I am hoping to have in the Greensboro Coliseum this year, by the time we get to Starrcade, I don't think the Magnificent Seven will be a thing anymore. 63 rating though. And the opening match on the main card sees the tag team champions, Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire, defeat jobber tag team at this point, America's Most Wanted, Chris Harris and James Storm. Because I didn't know these guys were in WCW at this time, but they were on the mod in WCW. So, I put them together. Sean O'Haire picks up the win though, obviously, because it's America's Most Wanted in 2001. We're a few years away from them being a top tag team. Double super kick, 40 rating, which isn't too bad. 54 for both O'Haire and Palumbo. Low 20s for Harris and Storm. We're going to get Booker T vacating the United States Championship to focus on the world title. He hands it over to Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff announces that there will be a tournament, 8-man tournament, and we'll be announcing the participants in a few segments' time. Means we don't have both titles on one person, which I hate. I hate the mid-card title being on a top guy, whilst they're also holding the world title. I feel like it's meant to increase the value of the mid-card title. I feel like it just drags everything down. The mid-card title feels forgotten about more often than not. Gets an 80 rating though, because these two are great talkers. And the commentary is something we need to fix in this company, because we have Scott Hudson at this point was one of the main commentators on Nitro. It's an 80 rating, which again is negative because of the colour commentary, but we are making some moves to try and improve this commentary situation. 80 rating though, great stuff. Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Cash. 650, high spots match. They just go out there, flip for a little bit. Mysterio picks up the win with the springboard Hurricane Rana. It's a 58 rating, which is not too shabby. 61 for Mysterio is very good. Probably one of our best Cruiserweight performers. As you'd expect, it's Rey freaking Mysterio. However, there's also another big issue with Rey Mysterio, which we do have to consider. And that is the mask. Because Rey Mysterio without his mask is not somebody I could picture holding a main title. He's currently one of our Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. But he's got such a baby face. He looks 12. What are we supposed to do with it? A 12-year-old? So we will be looking potentially for a way to get Rey Mysterio back under a mask. without violating the terms of his Lucha Diaz Puestas, which is the hardest part to do. 58 rating though, not too shabby. And now we announce the 8 contenders for the United States title, which will start on next week's Nitro, so after the Big Bang. And they are Billy Kidman, Cruiserweight Tag Team Champion, Diamond Dallas Page, former World Heavyweight Champion, Jim Duggan, legend of the sport, Norman Smiley, former Hardcore Champion, Disco Inferno, former United States Television and Cruiserweight Champion, Kanyon. Has Kanyon held a title at this point? I don't know. Mike Awesome, former ECW Heavyweight Champion, and Shane Douglas, also former ECW Heavyweight Champion. They're going to be fighting in an 8-man tournament, which will start next week on Nitro. It's a 45 rating, not too shabby. Next Cruiserweight match sees the champion, Sugar Shane Helms, defeat Shannon Moore, and seeing his rating compared to Rey Mysterio's rating, yeah, we need to be putting the title on Rey, or Kidman, or one of those top echelon cruiserweights. Shane Helms is great. He has not got the ratings right now for what we want to do for this cruiserweight division. It's a 43 rating though, not too shabby. 45 for Shane, 36 for Shannon. DDP and Kevin Nash, the Insiders, have got their blow-off match with Totally Buffed, a feud which was in the old WCW, which we're just ending on this first episode of Nitro. And Totally Buffed pick up the win when Buff Bagwell pins Kevin Nash with the Yellow Jacket suplex. DDP tournament, Totally Buffed get a win, which they need. Buff Bagwell, 65 rating. Buff Bagwell is someone who I think has got a lot of potential, but in real life got ruined by that Booker T match on Raw. If that hadn't have happened, Buff Bagwell could have been a top star. He could have gone to TNA and been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion in that time. But he was tarnished so much by that Booker T match, which somehow Booker T himself survived. But 73 rating is pretty solid stuff for an upper mid-card match. We've got an earlier today, Dustin Rhodes complains about not being in the US tournament, and Kanyon challenges him for a match. Gets 57 rating, which leads into another upper mid-card match. Oh, if I actually click the button. As Kanyon defeats Dustin Rhodes in 12 minutes 58 with a pinfall, with the flatliner. Gets a 58 rating. You know, these guys, the upper mid-carders, they're not as good as Insiders and not as over as Totally Buffed, but I think Kanyon and Dustin both have top level potential. And let's hope we can use them properly. 58 rating. Another thing which we need to do in this save is the rehabilitation of Mike Awesome. Because Mike Awesome in ECW was amazing. His matches with Masato Tanaka were amazing. His run as ECW World Heavyweight Champion was amazing. And when he jumped ship to WCW while still champion, that was a big deal. And he got wasted in this company. The Fat Chick Thriller. That 70s guy. This man is famous for not being charismatic. He just beats people up. So that's what we're going to let him do. We brought in the Nasty Boys on a one-night deal because they have a bit of pop and the WCW audience knows who they are. So Mike Awesome defeating the Nasty Boys in one go is big. Gets a 51 rating, 59 for Awesome, 52 for Knobs, 48 for Sags. Awesome obviously in the US title tournament. Good luck to him. And another earlier today segment as Booker T is arguing with Steiner and Ric Flair, and it's Sting who swings in to back Booker T up. Gets an 87 rating, great promo. And what's the main event? It's obviously a tag team match. Player gets a 75 rating. Booker T and Sting defeat Steiner and Flair when Sting submits Ric Flair with the Scorpion Deathlock. Gets a 75. 80 for Sting and Steiner, 76 for Flair, 74 for Booker. He's our champion and he's getting the weakest rating. That's slightly worrying. But there is big plans for this world title. Hopefully. It's all dependent on something happening outside of the in-ring matches. And now, post-show, we're just going to have Tenay, Schiavone and Heenan announce the card for the Big Bang, the first pay-per-view back. We have got a 10-man Cruiserweight Battle Royale to crown a #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. And that match will take place, the title match will take place next week on Nitro. The Cruiserweight Tag Team Championships is on the line as the Filthy Animals of Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman defend against Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo after their victory against Air Raid today. The 6 men from the United States Championship will have to team up as Canyon, Shane Douglas and Disco Inferno take on DDP, Jim Duggan and Norman Smiley. The Tag Team Championships on the line as Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo defends against Team Canada, Lance Storm and Mike Awesome. The legends of WCW collide once again as Sting takes on Ric Flair in a singles match, the last time ever. And the main event sees Scott Steiner challenge Booker T for his WCW World Heavyweight Championship and much more on the Big Bang. Make sure you tune in. 49 rating for the read. Schiavone, feels right him doing it. He's in AEW. That's kind of Excalibur's job. They're used to the fast reads now. Let's bring it back in time. 49 rating. And what's the overall show? It gets a 76, which boosts our pop in 10 regions because our TV deal at this point is awful, as you could expect. Turner cut us. That's why WCW went under. But a rebuilding on FX is what we need. And a 75/6 rating is a great start for that 2,100 people in the Fleming's Gymnasium in Greensboro, North Carolina. And, well, next episode will be The Big Bang. Kaboom! I've just read you the card. Not much more I can say. I've been The Phantom Gaming. And that was rewriting history.